Right, so our next guest in studio is with us with thanks to the Irish Cancer Society because it is Lung Cancer Awareness Month 2019. So over 2,500 people are diagnosed with lung cancer every year. It is the leading cause of cancer death in both sexes with an estimated average of 1,865 deaths per year. The Irish Cancer Society is urging the public to be aware of their lung health and asking them to take their online lung health checker to check lung health. This is available at cancer.ie/lung. That's cancer.ie/lung. The checker also includes a downloadable letter which can be taken to a GP to enable a discussion about lung health. And early detection is vital. If a patient is diagnosed earlier, there are more treatment options and a real chance of cure. For more information, as I say, you can go on to cancer.ie. And now if anyone listening or watching has any advice at all, you can now call the Cancer Nurseline on 1800 200 700 if you need any advice whatsoever, or drop into one of our 13 Daffodil Centres in hospitals nationwide if you have any questions. Now, we do have a treat for you in terms of the guest that's with us in studio, because he's played for the Bears, the 49ers, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Bills, the Redskins, and of course the Rams, who are in this year's Super Bowl. Chris Draft, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming in.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So we got to immediately talk about the Rams, of course, because they're in the Super Bowl. The thing I often wonder is, and it's such a quirk for people who aren't used to American sports, is the fact that you played for the St. Louis Rams, and they are now the Los Angeles Rams. Do you still have that affinity towards the franchise?
So they were the St. Louis Rams. Now they're the LA Rams. But before they were the St. Louis Rams, they were the LA Rams.
True.
And so not just the LA Rams, but they played in Anaheim. And I grew up in Anaheim.
All right.
So when I went to St. Louis, people were like, how do you know so much history about the Rams? I said, where were the Rams before they were in St. Louis? They said they were in Anaheim.
Okay.
So I grew up right down the street from the stadium.
So is it fair to say that you always wanted to play for the Rams?
It's fair to say that playing for the Rams would have meant I played at home. So yes, it's fair to say.
It's very interesting looking at this year's Super Bowl matchup. There's tons of things to talk about. I was doing a bit of research yesterday, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I think you've played against Tom Brady 3 times.
It might be 3. Again, you know the numbers more than anything. I think I actually played against him. I think his first start was against us in Atlanta.
Right. Okay.
First start. So somehow that was the beginning of it. I remember that year when we played against him and we lost, right? And so many people thought we were just a terrible team because they said, there is no way that you lose to the Patriots, because at that time, they just didn't have, the swagger that they have right now, the kind of expectation of victory that goes along with being a Patriot. It just wasn't there the same way.
That's weird. It almost feels weird to think about a superiority complex when you're coming up against the New England Patriots. Was it a similar view of Bill Belichick? Because I think Tom Brady's struggles are well documented, even from his college days, and to not getting the #1 QB jersey with New England. Was Belichick viewed in a similar sort of mediocre manner?
Well, if you look at Belichick was the defensive coordinator with the Giants, so had tremendous success, right? But then he went to Cleveland. And he went to Cleveland, he didn't have success. I mean, he was a part of that long line of Cleveland people that didn't really do so well. And so when he took over the Patriots, it wasn't like, oh my goodness, this is Bill Belichick, it's just going to be great, everything is going to happen, it's going to be transformative. He's going to probably just go to the Super Bowl all the time, and he's probably going to have 5 championships. Nobody was saying that. So it's the early part of his career. And then you put in a Tom Brady who was a 6th-round pick, who is slow as molasses, who wasn't even... wasn't that the guy even at Michigan. So to think that he is going to not just be the guy, but then end up being the greatest quarterback in the NFL, not at all.
I often wonder if Belichick could exist in this sphere of greatness without Tom Brady, and could Tom Brady exist in this sphere of greatness without Bill Belichick? What do you think?
Well, I think that's the real greatness. The greatness is identifying your players, identifying the people that really vibe with your system. So, that's when you see great teams are able to pick the people. So to really see the greatness, it's not that Tom Brady and Belichick are together, it's to realize that they've won 5 Super Bowls. But how many players have won 5 Super Bowls? Tom Brady's the only one. So as those teams have progressed, over those years of those Super Bowls, there's been so many other players that have gone through. And so that's the real greatness of Belichick. It's not just a relationship with Tom, but it's the relationship with a team that is very honest about the players that they need.
Yeah.
And putting them, finding that next guy, knowing that we have to find the next guy. Because of the greatness, if we sat back, and they don't do that. They don't sit back and say, man, we're so great. Let's just sit on last year's success. Let's sit on 2 years ago's success. What makes them great is that they understand that every year, every game, they have to compete.
Well, that's the thing, and in a league that is so competitive, as you could definitely speak for yourself, and in terms of, I guess, an aging body that is Tom Brady, it's just I don't know how they do it. Is it just a constant looking for new ideas that Belichick's actually far more futuristic than we give him credit for?
No, I wouldn't say it's so futuristic as much as what he's doing is he understands and accepts that the greatness that they have just challenges other teams to want to beat them that much more.
Sure.
So if you think the team is going to take a break, that is just not going to happen with the Patriots. So he's going to get everyone's best shot. So he's not going to sit back. That's the true greatness of the Patriots, is that they're going to get everyone's best shot, and they're still winning.
Yeah.
Right? They've lost players, and they're still winning. That they've continued to find those guys and put them in the right positions and then challenge them to say, just do your job. Trust me, if you do your job, we will put you in the right positions and we'll win.
It's amazing because when you talk about coach-quarterback partnerships in the NFL over the last couple of years, to be fair, Jared Goff and Sean McVay have been two of the most spoken about. It's been one of the most spoken about pairs outside of Belichick and Brady. So it is curious that we have this Super Bowl between the two franchises, and it is going to be the talking point. When you talk about McVay and Goff, is there any way you can see a future for those guys to get into that sphere, or is it way too soon to be talking about that sort of thing?
I think you look at indicators. I mean, you can't put them someplace that they haven't earned.
Sure.
So they have to earn it. But I think the last couple of years, what you've seen is a tremendous relationship. And that relationship is completely changing how the league is looking at their head coaches, which we saw with the new hires after people got fired at the end of the season. They're all looking for those offensive coordinators that have that little bit of that flashy style so that they can train the quarterback. But what's crazy about it, if you can see it, what's really crazy is that if you put a Belichick and a Tom Brady together and you talk about a McVay and a Goff, that Belichick is a defensive coordinator. Yeah. Right? So it's still possible to be able to have a relationship and still win. So they're making it seem like they have to have that offensive mind. But Belichick has actually shown that if you have a strong offensive coordinator, you can still win with the defensive head coach.
Totally. I often think that if you're a defensive coordinator, you've studied opposition quarterbacks so much that you actually get an offense quite well. As a man who plays on a defense, is Tom Brady the best quarterback you've ever come up against? I know at the time that first game.
What I would say is that he is the best, the winner that we have. I mean, the numbers just say it. Flat out, just say it. If you went out there and you because he's not this physically dominating kind of specimen of a guy, it's hard to just to say, well, he's just the greatest because people think of athleticism. But in terms of a guy that really understands the game, that is executed, that makes his guys better, he is absolutely the greatest. And when you look at what they've been able to accomplish, that is not just because you have a great owner or a great head coach or a great GM or just a great quarterback. It is a group of people that understand that we win together. And they are bought in, and that all the moves, all the adjustments that happen, they buy into them together.
Who's going to win on Sunday week?
Well, again, I have to say Rams. I have to say it, and because I played with the Rams, so I have to say it. But the real deal is whoever plays defensively, whoever plays the strongest. Offensively, whoever's able to run the ball and establish. So they say that the games are won in the trenches. They always talk about that. This game will be the same. Belichick's going to have a great defensive scheme. He's watched the tape. He's ready. And the Rams are going to have to take a hit early on and be able to adjust. And their ability to do that, just like they did last week against the Saints, their ability to do that will be the key to their victory.
Yeah, I thought it was game over for them after the first quarter on Sunday. You are in studio, Chris, with us with thanks to Irish Cancer Society's Cancer Awareness Month. Can you tell us how your own life has been touched by lung cancer?
So I tell people that no one wakes up and says, I want to be a lung cancer advocate. Nobody just jumps up and says, please, please let me be a lung cancer advocate. And that's the same in my case. I finished up playing in 2010. I was with the Washington Redskins, and I go home, I got released. That was my 13th year, and I thought, man, I think I got one more year. And my body was like, no. And I said, no, I think, no, I can't get it. And so I was at home, and I'm still working out just to possibly be able to go back. And my girlfriend at the time was challenging me to do P90X and run a 10K race, so some crazy exercise routine, and all of a sudden she had a little shortness of breath. So 37 years old, never smoked, amazing shape, has a little shortness of breath. And because she wasn't someone that would hide or deny that there was something that was wrong and not go to the doctor, she went in right away. And when she went in, her primary care doctor, who she had a tremendous relationship with, she was honest about what was going on and had a great relationship. He said, I'm going to give you these antibiotics, but I want you to go over and get a chest x-ray. She got a chest x-ray, had a mass in her left lung. And all of a sudden, a few days later, we get a biopsy and confirm it's lung cancer. And we find out the most important fact, that anyone can get lung cancer, which seems like completely different. If someone's watching, they're saying, that does not make sense. How does that happen? Because everything I've been told is that lung cancer is directly related to smoking, and that's the only way that it can happen. But unfortunately, anyone can get it. And again, I found that out when it came into my house. And my hope, and our hope with the work that we do, is that someone is not going to have to find it out when it comes into their house. They'll accept it. And because they accept it, they'll realize that research matters now, not later.
Because it is a misconception, really, isn't it, that it's only the smokers that get lung cancer. And by the sounds of things, just reading about Keisha, she was a very healthy woman. And you speak on your foundation website just about that shock. And I'm not sure, how did you feel after the diagnosis? It must have been a very hard thing to compute because of that.
I mean, it's out of nowhere, and you have to just accept what it is. Because trying to not accept it makes it where you can't get going on with the treatment. And putting together a plan, and I think it was hard to hear, but it was so far out of nowhere that it was almost made it a little bit easier, because it just was like, what is this?
It doesn't sink in.
It just what is this? So tell us what we have to do. Help us with this plan. And my wife had such a tremendous group of doctors and health professionals around her. And so we had those resources, and then she had a tremendous family and friends that really that uplifted throughout the journey. But we found out that anyone could get it, but then we found out also, unfortunately, the 5-year survival rate is not real good. So it's only about 18%. And then we progressed through the journey, and she ended up passing a year later. And so that year, I mean, it's like, what? How do you go from just amazingly strong, 37 years old, to this point? And it's amazing that is how it's actually possible. But before she passed, we were able to get married. And before our wedding day, my wife came to me and she said, what if we don't get presents? What if we ask our family and friends to donate to the foundation so we can fight? And I said, baby, I love it. And so on our wedding day, we made 2 commitments, one to each other, the other one was to the lung cancer community. And with this platform of the NFL, that lung cancer community could extend here to Ireland. Mm. But it was the extension that said that we can do something about it, and it was a commitment that started with my wife, where she made a choice to fight for others.
She wasn't going to let it beat her and do nothing about it.
She had already made that decision now. She already made that. As soon as she was diagnosed, she had already made that decision. That's something that you have to do. And that is, am I going to live or am I going to die? Right?
It's easier said than done sometimes.
It's absolutely difficult, because every day that something's going on, you have to reassess and you have to claim it. You have to claim that victory that says, I am going to live today. And it has to, you have to be intentional with that. And she was, again. And it's not that it was easy, because we have, it's stage 4 lung cancer. What? It's radiation. It's full brain radiation. It's chemotherapy. What is this? So there's so many things that are challenging you where it's difficult. But she did a tremendous job of continuing to fight, and did that all the way up until she passed in December 27th of 2011, and really took it right to the end.
Her fight must be hugely inspirational for you in terms of running your foundation, in terms of fighting against this.
I mean, she is the absolute inspiration. And I think there's so many parts of her journey that are central to what survivors have to do all over. And that is that, number one, you have to decide, again, do you want to live, or are you just accepting that you're going to die? Right? Because that's important. You have to go and attack this and not allow the disease to take your life before it actually does take your life, if it does. You have to continue fighting. You have to be in the moment. You have to go and celebrate it if you're still here today. And so if someone says, well, you have terminal disease because it's stage 4, that doesn't mean that your life is over tomorrow. So you have to continue fighting and living until it is. Because the real deal is we could walk down the street and get hit by a car. Something bad can happen and we can be gone. So the idea that you have cancer really just reminds you to make sure you do live.
One last thing I wanted to ask you about, because on your Chris Draft Family Foundation, that's your website, you said you're hoping to change the face of lung cancer. Talk to us a little bit about that, about how we can change the face of lung cancer and how events like lung cancer awareness can help.
So how do we change the face of lung cancer? It's first accepting what lung cancer is seen. So it's only been seen as a prevention. And so when we change the face of lung cancer is to say that prevention is not enough. So in my wife's case, she's in amazing shape, and the prevention is important. It's absolutely important because we want to encourage people to have a healthy lifestyle. But that's not enough to be able to tackle lung cancer. So we still need early detection. We need that. And that early detection comes through screening efforts that the Irish Cancer Society is going to be talking about here in Ireland. But also early detection is about an awareness with your body and being honest about that something is wrong and going in and being honest with your GP. Treatment is important in terms of that we've got to be able to not just be disappointed because we couldn't catch it, we couldn't prevent it because we couldn't catch it early, but really make sure there are treatment options and that the people that can benefit from the newer therapies, we got to get everyone that can benefit from it, got to get it. And then we have to be confident knowing that research matters. It's not just in breast cancer. It's not just in colon cancer. It's not just in other cancers, but research matters in lung cancer with the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is always survivorship. We're fighting for people, right? We're fighting for all those people that you see on our site. We're fighting for all those survivors. But the real deal is if we believe that anyone can get it, and I have to believe it because my wife, 37 years old, this amazing woman that had danced, that was, that graduated from Clemson University, electrical engineer, this amazingly smart and healthy woman, if she could get lung cancer, then anyone can get it. So we're not just fighting when we talk about research. We're not just fighting for the people that have it. We're fighting for all the people that could get it.
Yeah, absolutely. I often wonder, when it comes to the treatment in terms of all the terrible illnesses that exist in the world, how do you find in terms of the treatment process? How is that going on a global scale at the moment in terms of, you say there are new treatments that are after emerging?
I tell you, in the last few years, there have been an explosion of drugs as it relates to lung cancer. And when you see a drug being approved, the reason why it's approved is because it's improving somebody's quality of life. It's extending somebody's life. And so the approval of the drugs say that we're moving in the right direction, and it says that the people are benefiting from it. Now, the key is that we don't have enough. But that's what research is for. It's not that we're going to just accept where we are and just, we're going to accept it, make sure we get the people that can benefit from it, but then we're going to push forward because we know that we have some success, and now we're building off of that success.
Chris, it's been great to chat to you. Thank you so much for coming to the studio. Just to give another mention, it is around Lung Cancer Awareness Month last year in Ireland. It's for the Irish Cancer Society. We're going to post all the details, all the bullet points I went through at the top of the piece there. We're going to post it all on offtheball.com, and you can check out the full chat if you're just joining us, fully up on our YouTube in a little while as well. Do you want to give a shout out to your website as well?
Teamdraft.org or go to chrisdraftfamilyfoundation.org.
Nice one, Chris. Great to meet you. Thank you very much for coming in.